Hello, everybody, and welcome to the end of the 2019 regular season in the NFL. It is week 17, and the last 16 weeks took a toll on me, I guess, because I am sick. But is that going to stop me from delivering content to you all? Absolutely not. It just might be a little shorter of a video. Last week, with our picks, we went 13-3, which was a great way to end the season, and we won our fantasy league thanks to Christian McCaffrey specifically. Thank you very much, Christian. I appreciate it. So going into week 17, we're going to be making our picks in the ticker once again. I think you guys seem to be responding well to the ticker and not just straight game pick videos, so we're going to be doing more discussion-based content probably from here on out, probably until the playoffs. Probably the divisional round will go back to a game pick style video. But this week, I want to talk about two teams that might be playoff surprise teams next season. Teams that might not make the playoffs this year that I think will for sure be in the running this year. Kind of like how Buffalo performed this year, where it's like they're a shoo-in for the playoffs at this point because they performed so well at the beginning of the year. And even at the end of the year, come on, Buffalo's a really good team. So I think there's one team in each conference that can step into that Buffalo role. It's not a worst to first. For one of these teams, it would be a worst to probably second or third. But and just with the breakdown of the conferences, I think that these two teams could actually make some noise and actually make the playoffs next season because they have a good core of talent and what appears to be solid coaching who likes their current personnel. We're going to go ahead and start with the AFC team, though. And this year, well, it'll be for next year, the team on my mind is the Tennessee Titans with Ryan Tannehill secured as their starter. Now, normally when we have a guy come in and he lights it up and then it's, his first year there and there's not a lot of tape on him in this system, I'm really hesitant to just crown the guy. So it's like Nick Foles for the Eagles. I was very hesitant, even coming off the Super Bowl run. I was like, I don't know. I don't think this is going to work going forward. And it totally worked going forward, but it hasn't worked for Jacksonville. But Ryan Tannehill's staying put in Tennessee. They're currently discussing a long-term contract extension for him to be the starter. So Mariota is either going to be the backup or he's out of Tennessee. If Ryan Tannehill was the starter for the Tennessee Titans from the beginning of the year, they would have already clinched a playoff spot. They would have securely been the 6th seed, possibly winning the division in the AFC South because they're 2 games back, I think, of the Texans. So, if they beat the Texans, that's a full game and 1 other game, 2 other games maybe. But Ryan Tannehill makes that offense run so much smoother. And Tennessee's already have what is essentially a top 10 defense that people kind of sleep on. But Tennessee as a team, it's not a well-known sports market. It's a smaller market as far as I'm concerned, as far as sports goes. I know there's a lot of people in the Nashville, Tennessee area, but I think a lot of people sleep on this team because they don't make a lot of headlines. They don't have a lot of personalities. But just go ahead and watch a Titans game because Ryan Tannehill is putting it all on the line because I think he knows this might have been his last chance, and he performed well enough to make the front office of the Tennessee Titans say, you're the guy. Like, we are definitely a better team with you. The defense isn't the problem. They're going to target more offense in the draft, supposedly. And I think, too, over the last couple of weeks, especially that game against the Saints, A.J. Brown exploded, and he actually is the number 1 rookie wide receiver this year, I think, in yardage. He had like a 50-yard rushing touchdown or something this week. And their young receivers are finally starting to gel. Corey Davis, A.J. Brown. They still have Delaney Walker, who's been hurt on and off, but Jonnu Smith has come in really, really well, filling in for him. Their offensive line is great with Conklin and Taylor Lewan on the edges there. Derrick Henry is a fantastic running back. Probably would be leading the league in rushing right now had he played against the Saints. I think all these signs are pointing to the Tennessee Titans. They might even win their division next year because something's going on with Houston. Houston always kind of does this kind of thing, even though I'm much more on the Deshaun Watson train this year than I have been in any recent year. But they're going to have to watch their backs for the Tennessee Titans. And the Colts are still there too, but I think Tennessee has more talent than Indianapolis, and I think that their coaching staff is more well-rounded and has more chemistry together than the Texans. So I would not be surprised if the Tennessee Titans go like 10-6 or 11-5 next season and end up grabbing a wild card spot in the AFC, much like Buffalo did this season. And the NFC team we're going to be talking about at this point is a team that I've gone up and down on throughout most of the season. I've watched a couple of their games, not all of them. I probably should have watched all of them, though. It's the Arizona Cardinals. I would not be surprised if Kyler Murray takes this team to 9-7 or 10-6 next season, and they end up going to the playoffs. Their schedule next year is not nearly as difficult as their schedule was this year. They don't have to play the AFC. I think they play the NFC East, which certainly helps. And I think they might play the AFC East as well. So they play Miami and New York and the Giants and the Jets and the Redskins, the Eagles. Eagles is not an easy game. But go back and watch those Cardinals-Eagles, the last like 3 or 4 Cardinals-Eagles games, because they're all exciting, by the way. It's like whenever those teams get together, it's always a great game. But moving along, you have a franchise quarterback in Kyler Murray, who's very savvy. I think he learned this year about when to, because he's taken a lot of sacks, but a lot of those sacks are him giving himself up. I think this year he learned, I don't have to do that all the time, but he definitely knows that he can't outrun people on the edge. I think going into year 2, it's only going to get better. His accuracy is from time to time, but they've got enough talent around him at running back and at tight end, honestly. Even though Cliff Kingsbury doesn't utilize his tight ends, I think Max Williams and Charles Clay are actually 2 very good tight ends, especially in the way they're used in his system lately has been very nice. And Kenyon Drake is a major upgrade for them. It's just, I don't know what's going on with David Johnson, but he's probably going to be gone. But a 2-back system with Kenyon Drake and Chase Edmonds all season, along with the running threat of Kyler Murray, I think a lot of people are going to think they're going to employ a Ravens-like offense, but I don't think that that's going to be the case, because Lamar Jackson is a one-of-a-kind player. Like, even though him and Kyler are in the same mold, I don't think Kyler is anything like Lamar Jackson other than they both like to run. I mean, Kyler Murray certainly does not just run quarterback powers, stretch powers to the left like Lamar Jackson does 5 or 6 times a game. Like, Kyler Murray's not going to average 80 to 90 rushing yards a game. It's just not his game. He is going to throw for 250 to 300 yards, though, because he's got an arm. You also have, at wide receiver, you might not have Larry Fitzgerald, but you have Christian Kirk, who's a very promising young wide receiver. You have Akeem Butler coming off of an injury, who was a monster at Iowa State coming out of the draft, who unfortunately was injured for the entire season. You also have Andy Isabella, who is an absolute speed threat, and whoever comes in during free agency. I would say the one thing that the Cardinals really need to hunker down on, though, is their defense. You have really, really good pieces here. Chandler Jones, who's going after Michael Strahan's sack record this week against the Rams, is a fantastic rusher coming off the edge. And you have Terrell Suggs. Terrell Suggs was actually having an incredibly good season, and then they let him go. The other end is going to be an issue for them, because people will just rotate over to Chandler Jones if they're smart. At linebacker, you have Jordan Hicks in the middle, who I think is a solid player. You don't need to touch the middle linebacker. But the other linebackers, Hassan Reddick, whoever else is on the other side, I think Tanner Vallejo started last week. You need to get some more outside linebackers. At corner, you have Peterson, who hasn't been great lately, but the last couple weeks has definitely stepped up. He's finally starting to get back into the groove. So you have Patrick Peterson at one corner, and you have Raheem Brock, or a bunch of other guys that have gotten hurt and have been rotated throughout the whole year. Corner's an issue for them. They're going to have to get a corner. Safety, you have Budda Baker. And if you end up just playing a one-high safety, I don't know if they're even going to keep Vance Joseph. They're going to probably need to do a complete overhaul of their defense. But even then, the last couple weeks, the defense has played pretty well against Cleveland and against Seattle. If they play well at the end of the season here against the Rams, that's a lot of momentum going into next season. But this is a team that's going to win games like 35-30. They're going to give up a crap ton of points, but they're going to be able to score on you. And I think the evolution of Cliff Kingsbury is going to be the most important thing for this team going forward. At the beginning of the year, he made a lot of really questionable calls and wasn't on my good list of coaches. But throughout the year, I've actually been really impressed with how Cliff Kingsbury has, made adjustments on the fly, made adjustments mid-season going through the whole thing, and actually handled just the entire situation as a whole. And this is a guy who did not have a winning record coaching in college and now is just given an NFL job. I think Cliff Kingsbury has sown the seeds of a great start. And next year will be a leaping pad. They might not make the playoffs next year, but this is a team that might be like how Oakland is this year, where they're always in the conversation. They're always there. But I would not be surprised if our wild card teams next season are the second place team in the NFC West and the third place team in the NFC West. Because I could see this coming down to a race with either the Vikings or Green Bay next season. But the NFC is much more congested as far as their teams go than the AFC is. I think the AFC is a little bit easier to predict. But even then, it's football. So it's always hard to predict. So I guess we'll just have to see next season if the Titans and the Cardinals make some waves, much like Buffalo did this year. But either way, I'm excited to watch both of these teams going forward. And thank you very much for watching our Week 17 video. Our record will be displayed here, and next week when we do our wild card video, the final record will be shown, which looks incredibly favorable because, again, we went 13-3 last week. So I'm very excited to see where that goes. Thank you so much for sticking with me the whole season and viewing. If you did view all 17 of these videos, thank you so much for the support. Please be sure to subscribe and share the video. That's the best way for me to increase my audience and to be able to get more opinions on what I should be doing in the future for videos. The more that I get exposure and the more that I get shared, the more interesting content I'll be able to make for you all. And I will say it once again, thank you so much for watching this video and any other videos you may have watched on this channel. And I hope you had a very nice 2019 NFL regular season. And now we'll be on to the playoffs. Thank you so much. Enjoy your week, everybody.